Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got yet another amazing tutorial for your beautiful faces to enjoy. Today we are going to be looking at this monster kelp farm. It is very similar to the bamboo farm we built yesterday. It also uses a flying machine like the bamboo farm from yesterday, but what makes it so much simpler to build is the fact that storage for this farm doesn't require any rails, minecarts, redstone. It doesn't require any of it. It is just two water channels. What happens is the kelp gets broken, it all floats to the top, and because there's this one extra water source in the middle, 1 block tall, it pushes all the items into a water channel on either side. And then from there, it can just get pushed down into a hopper. The flying machine for this farm is a little bit different than the one for the bamboo farm. Because it's working in water, I had to make a few adjustments to some redstone and the observer placement, because otherwise it just stopped working halfway through. Also, in order to make this work in water, you are going to have to put this little cover over the top of the observers in the water. That's why there's no kelp in the center 2 blocks here. However, I do still actually have some kelp in the middle here. It can't grow very tall, but you can have it if you want it. And then the redstone on the return system, I kept having issues with it breaking the flying machine and just water making a mess. So what I went ahead and did was added a few extra repeaters, and yeah, I had to move its placement around too, because by adjusting the observer placements on this new flying machine, yeah, the previous unloading station just didn't work. The one for bamboo didn't work at all. I had to completely rework it, but it is still the exact same principle. Overall, guys, this farm is very simple to build, and if you are interested, I advise you to stick around. Average full harvest of this farm would look about like that plus that. So, you know, a little over a chest, about 36 stacks of items, but not quite. To activate the flying machine, you just click this wooden button here, and then it goes through breaking all of the kelp. The kelp floats up to the top, get pushed into these water channels, and then it all falls through a drop chute into the hopper. Now you can of course do whatever it is you would like with your storage. I'm just, you know, being very lazy here at this, but we're not covering storage today, we're just covering kelp. If you're interested in automatic storage, I will be making a video on it tomorrow. I advise you to subscribe and click on the little bell so you know when that video is out. Anyway, as you can see, the entire farm has emptied. Now, unfortunately, sometimes kelp will get stuck up here. I did as much as I could to try and get around it, but the issue is because of the size of the flying machine and the way that the water stream works, it doesn't flow onto this block here, so it gets a little iffy. And you still get a lot of kelp, even with that in there, man. So, with all those details out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the tutorial. For your use, there will be a full materials list containing every item I used to build this farm behind me in the description down below. Now, let's get into the video. Alright guys, so it is time to start constructing our farm. So the first thing we're going to do is install the giant glass chamber and the leaf docking stations for the flying machine. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is space this out properly from the other farm, leaving me enough room in between, and then I'm going to start building. So what we're going to do, patch that hole. So what we're going to do is place a leaf block, and we're going to make a line of 14. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Now we're going to place a temporary block here, a leaf block to the left, and one on top. We're going to take this all the way back down, place a temporary block here, a block to the right, and remove that temporary block. Now we're going to expand our leaf area. So what we're going to do is go back by 4 blocks and fill in this entire area. Once that whole area is filled in, you can take these side leaves and go all the way down with them like so. And now you're going to need to get your obsidian because we're going to add in the block to stop your flying machine. What you're going to do is from the left side of your docking station, you're going to go out by 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That 7th block will be obsidian. And then fill in the right with leaves. Now what I want you to do is with this entire area, make it too tall in leaves, because once we put the water in the farm, it will start flowing out, and this way water will not make a mess everywhere. Now we're going to add in our glass. So what we can do is come right outside our little docking station like so, place a glass block here, and we're going to go down 19 more blocks for a total of 20. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We can do this on the opposite side of the farm as well. And then what we're going to do is take these 2 bits of glass and bring it all the way up to be a total of 3 blocks in height, just so that it is even with our docking stations. Just like so. Now it is time for us to install the next docking station. You can take your 14 blocks of leaves and go all the way across your glass with it. You can put 2 blocks of leaves in these locations, and then go all the way across the top with leaves to create this little slit for the flying machine to go through. Then you can go back by 4 blocks and fill in this entire area with leaves. Once the entire area is filled, you can go out on either side by 5 blocks, just like so. And then what we're going to do is install our block of obsidian. You're going to go to the right side of this docking station, place 4 blocks. This 5th block will be your obsidian, and then you can fill in this entire left side with leaves. Now, just like on the other side, make this whole thing too tall to prevent water from spilling everywhere. Once you have this, you are almost done. Now what we're going to do is install the entire glass box. So we're going to go ahead and just do a simple layer of glass all the way around, just like so. And once you have done that and your glass is 4 blocks tall, you're going to do that a total of 11 more times to get your farm to a total height of 17. I recommend you pause the video and come back once you have this step complete. Alright guys, welcome back. So now you should have all of your glass in place just like so. Now the next step is going to be to place in all of our sand. So once again, I'm going to recommend you pause the video and get this step done. But in case you don't necessarily know what to do, we are going to just remove a block down in the floor, and the sand should be 1 block lower than the bottom lip to your flying machine docking areas. And once you have all your sand in, you can come back and we can move on to the next step. Alright guys, so now you should have all of your sand in and these glass walls completely around your farm. Now what we're going to do is install the flying machine. What you're going to do is come to the docking station on the right hand side of the farm, the one with the obsidian on the 7th block instead of the 5th, and this is going to be where your flying machine sits whenever the farm isn't harvesting. What we're going to do is place a solid block or transparent block. Just place a block in this corner of your choice. We're going to take slime blocks all the way up to the obsidian. Then we're going to place 2 temporary blocks like so. Punch a hole in the floor, remove this temporary block, place our observer facing up, and remove the block fixing the floor. Place a sticky piston here, glazed terracotta here, and a slime block there. Then you can place any block here, 6 slime blocks there like so. Place your sticky piston right here, 2 more slime blocks there, glazed terracotta there, 2 temporary blocks right there like so, remove a block in the floor and 1 temporary block, place our observer facing up, fix the floor and remove the temporary block. That is your flying machine completely built. We now have to build the machine that will send it out. Okay guys, now that your flying machine is completely built, what we're going to do is add a hole in the leaves so that it can slip through. We're going to remove these 2 leaf blocks there like that permanently. Then what we're going to do is place a normal piston facing into that glazed terracotta on the second half of your flying machine like so. Obsidian there, and glazed terracotta there. Then what we're going to do is replace these 4 blocks with any type of solid block, place another solid block there, redstone dust there, a button there, and 3 repeaters in these locations. Put these 2 repeaters on 4 ticks, and this one on 2 ticks. Now whenever you click this button, your flying machine will get sent out. But don't click it yet, because otherwise it will break. There is nothing at the other end to send it back. Once at the other end, on the block, on the leaf block right in front of your obsidian, place a sticky piston facing towards you, just like so. Then place an observer 1 block back, and next to it facing in that same direction. Now we're going to place 2 solid blocks where those floor blocks were. Put 2 repeaters on 4 ticks. We're going to run that into a solid block, remove that floor block, replace it with a solid block, put redstone dust on top of it. We're going to place a solid block there, replace these 2 leaf blocks with solid blocks, and on top of those put 2 more repeaters on 4 ticks. Now whenever a block goes in front of this observer, after a little duration, it will get activated. Now I recommend you grab some leaves or whatever and just kind of cover up this redstone, because otherwise water could break it. So I recommend you cover it completely up just like so. Now we can test our flying machine. We can come back over to the other side and press the button. However, I forgot, we need to really quickly remove these 2 leaf blocks for the observers to fit through. Otherwise, you're going to have an issue, so please do that before you try and test your flying machine, unlike me. And it got to the end, it got sent back out. And when it comes back to the other side, it should peacefully dock in its bay without anything breaking. And it did. Very good, our flying machine works. Now, what we're going to do is jump inside the farm. Okay, what we're going to do is on this center line where the 2 observers are lined up, we are going to remove the strip of sand in that location and replace it with a light emitting block. I'm going to use frog lights, but the point of this block is to provide the kelp with light and help it grow. It will also prevent drowns from spawning in your farm, depending on where you built it. Now what we're going to do is grab our glass blocks, and right above the observers, just like so, we are going to make a strip of glass that goes all the way across your farm. We are going to do that one more time to the right of that strip of glass you just previously placed. This way, the observers will only ever be facing into glass, and it will not break when water glitches end up happening. If you don't do this step, your farm will just break over and over and over. Now that strip of glass right above your frog lights or whatever light source you used, take that all the way up to the top of your farm using glass. This should end up being flush with the glass box that you have already built. Here we are at the top of the farm, and that glass is now flush. Well, now the only thing left to do is add in the water. So once you are at the top of your farm, I recommend that you take that central line of glass that you just placed and remove that one block layer on the top. you're going to get temporary blocks and fill in the entire upper area of your farm, just like so, leaving a 1 block tall lip of glass all the way around to hold in any water. Alright, once you have all those temporary blocks in on that original layer, go ahead and completely cover the top of it again in more temporary blocks, and you can leave that central strip of glass like so. Now what you're going to do is on that central strip of glass, spam a bunch of water buckets, and it should go all the way to the edge of your farm. Now what you're going to do is remove that top layer of temporary blocks. Alright, once you have that entire first layer of temporary blocks removed, go ahead and remove the second layer. Alright, now all of your temporary blocks should be removed and your farm should look a bit like this. Now all we have to do is install the channels on the side where your items are going to go and then get dropped into your storage. So you're going to want to go to the side of the farm that has the water overhanging on the edge, like this side. You can remove that one top block and replace it with a button, just like I am. Now you might be wondering, well, why do I have to replace it with a button? Can't I just leave it like that? Unfortunately, no, you cannot, because it is weird, and, well, if you leave it like that, you're just gonna have issues. And apparently I'm having issues anyway, so that's lovely. That's okay, this should be fine. I do recommend that you actually replace these blocks here with ice, and put the buttons on ice. This way, it's much better. Because when the item ends up falling down, it just slides across the ice instead of getting stuck on a block. You may make a little bit of a mess while doing this, but it is completely okay. Now extend this area by 4 glass blocks like so. Place in 8 glass blocks right there. Go out by 1. And make, a bit of an edge to hold in the water, and place a water bucket. It should flow perfectly to the end of that 8 block area, unless you didn't put it in right. Now do another bit of 8 blocks, like so, filling in the side to hold in water and items, like so, once again. And now this last one should be 5 blocks. Install the outside edge to hold in items, just like so. And now before you put in that water, place 3 blocks in these locations, remove these 2, and put a button there. Now when you put in your water source, it will stop at that button. Now below that block with the button on it, go down by 2 more blocks. On the side of it, go down by 2 more blocks, and this side 2 blocks, just like so. So you end up with a drop chute. Then you can line up perfectly at the bottom of that drop chute your item storage. Now whenever the kelp gets broken and it slides into the side of the farm, it will go down this drop chute and land perfectly in that hopper being collected by your machine. Now let's add the chute on this side. Once again, remove these blocks and replace it with ice with buttons on top. For some reason, this side isn't making a mess when I remove all of the glass like so, so I'm just gonna be happy about that because that makes this easier for me. Once all the ice and buttons are in, extend this side here by 4 blocks. Go down, place 8 blocks of glass like so, put 2 blocks in those locations, and then create that edge to the farm to prevent the items and water from getting shot out. Put in your water source, 8 more blocks along here, that edge / lip, and put in the water source. And now this last one will once again be 5 blocks. You can fill that in like so. Add in the edge/lip to the farm. 3 blocks here. Remove these 2. Button on that one. Put a block to the left and the right of that button. And then bring all those blocks down by 2. Now you will have another drop chute. You can install the water source, and your farm should be pretty much fully operational now. All I recommend you to do is, of course, add in the chest with storage on the other side of the farm, just like so, below the drop chute. And then grab your leaves one more time and install 4 blocks of leaves in those locations right there. That will protect your redstone here from any flowing water. Now, before we actually put any kelp in the farm, you can send your flying machine out just to test that it will actually work. Because if it breaks, then there's no point in having kelp in the farm. It just makes it harder to fix it. It makes it to the other side. It gets sent back. It's still going strong. I'm not seeing any issues with this so far. It's almost at the other end. So close. And it's all done. Okay. Well then, it is time to go ahead and put your kelp everywhere inside of this farm. Go ahead and pause the video and come back once this step is complete. Now guys, when it comes to installing your kelp, you don't have to put kelp on this row of blocks here, because it's not going to be able to grow super tall anyway. But I'm going to put the kelp here because I just kind of feel like it. And if it ends up getting shot to the side when the flying machine goes through, that is just a little bit extra kelp in the farm. That is just a little bit extra kelp in my pocket. And anyway guys, the farm is now complete. We can go ahead and test it. Instead of waiting for the kelp to grow like a normal person, I'm going to set my random tick speed all the way up to 1000 and watch this kelp grow like crazy. Earlier I mentioned that we will have a video based around automatic storage tomorrow. If you are interested in that, I advise you to subscribe and hit that little bell down below so you don't miss the last few days of my tutorial advent calendar this month. Now that the kelp is done growing, we can go ahead and set the tick speed back to 1. I'm going to kill all the random items sitting around because some of these other farms around here, when you up the tick speed, it just makes a mess. And now I'm going to activate the farm. Let's see what happens. Everything is looking good so far. Items are going into our chests. Alright, everything is looking real good. I'm not entirely sure why these items are sitting here. I'm going to assume it has something to do with water sources and weird placement. Yeah. So what you guys may want to do once you build your farm is go in there with water buckets and just kind of put water all over these blocks here. Or you could just do another entire section of glass blocks, stopping right below the flowing water at the top. But I'm just going to real quickly go through and spam my water blocks. And then at the top, I'm going to stop. Now your farm should be working entirely. You guys may want to make this lip on this side of the farm a little bit taller. But besides these few things, your farm is completely done and working well. Like I said earlier, you will end up with a bit of kelp getting stuck on the sides. There is not much I can do about that. If you really want it fixed that bad, you may just need to go up there and collect it yourself, because the only way you can fix that issue with redstone is just by making a massive mess, and it's really not worth it. It doesn't happen every time. I've tested this farm multiple times. It's going to happen more the first few times you fire the farm, but after that, you should be pretty good. Like I said, you may need to go around and spam water sources in a few areas. Kelp is just generally weird when it's growing, and it can make some weird buggy things happen to your water. Anyway guys, that is going to be the end of today's tutorial. I do sure hope you have enjoyed, and if you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button down below. You have no idea what it means to me when I see that subscriber count go up. It just inspires me so much to continue making these videos. Anyway guys, this has been Mr. Gaming Aquatic, and I will see you next time. Bye!